webinars dead? Are we moving past this tried and true method of connecting with our audiences? So, with all the noise around short form content and AI the most, it is very tempting to think that the webinar has or is going into a dead loophole. So, today in this video, let's see what some of the industry legends like Jason Fledlin, Russell Brunson has to say around webinars, whether they're dead or not, and if yes, what exactly should we be doing? Before we begin, how many of you as a child were given this big lesson to not talk to strangers? Very well, our parents wanted us to be safe and not to be in danger. But that is exactly the opposite when it comes to business, is that not talking to stranger is a big danger. That is what Jason Fledlin, known as the 100 million webinar man, says. In business, the childhood lesson about not talking to strangers don't apply. Webinars are about reaching out to strangers and building those valuable first connection. So whether it's 2025 or 2018, talking to strangers, building valuable connection still hold true for most businesses. So if you have not already guessed, webinars are one of the best ways to do both of them. So what has changed from 2018 to 2025 is the massive rise of short-form content and AI, which has changed a lot in terms of how people take in information or value from webinars. But also it has significantly affected the attention span of the people. So the traditional webinar of 2 to 3 hours is seriously not getting that much effective like it used to. So in 2025, these are the things that you'd want to do for your upcoming webinars. Number 1, make it shorter. Number 2, keep things that cannot be found easily by searching in Google or ChatGPT. Third, and the most important, is maybe after every 15 to 20 minutes, you deliberately insert some interaction like breakout rooms, polls, games, or anything that pulls out the interaction portion, because that is what makes webinar unique in terms of the rise of short form content or AI, is the human connection portion of the webinar. So maybe instead of having a full 2 to 3 hours webinar where only you are speaking, you have a webinar after 15 to 20 minutes. Maybe it can start with pop quizzes. Maybe it can start with, after 15 minutes, people are getting into breakout rooms, telling their problems, sharing everything that they want to. And then maybe after next 20 or 15 minutes, what you have is an active form of quiz. So in this way, you'll be able to, you're not fighting with the AI or the short form, but it is rather in terms of what is missing out on all of these elements, the human connection. That is what exactly you should be leveraging for your upcoming webinars. So remember, shorter, high impact, interactive micro webinars are on the rise for 2025. Which also very well connects with what Russell Brunson, who built a 200 million year web company using webinars, says. You don't need thousands of people in a webinar to succeed. Even with a small but engaged audience, you can see big wins. His webinar often attract niche audience, sometimes just 30 or 40. But what he says, those people have a very high lifetime value. Why? Because they are engaged audiences. We find him talking a lot about small engaged audience, and I feel that is the catch for 2025's webinars. So unlike in 2020 or 2021, where all the sales pitch had to be done in that one single webinar and all of your goal was revolving around that one hard pitch with multiple guarantees and tempting offer, now webinars aren't that all-in-one sales event. So you shouldn't be putting all of your revenue goal in just one webinar, is what Russell has been trying to say in his multiple things here and there. Now, building on this, Eric, a digital marketing expert, has to offer some refreshing perspective on webinars. So he recently ran a very successful webinar with around 35 attendees. But the fun part is they were all business owners with annual revenue over 13 million in sales, and they were all 9-figure and 10-figure operators. His point, it's all about quality in 2025 than quantity, with around 500 people on a Zoom call like in the COVID days. So what can we learn from Eric for our webinars in 2025? Instead of promoting to everyone, focus on attracting small group of high quality or high value attendees. Second is very interesting about Eric and his webinars is, instead of trying to bring people from the platform of their choice, for example, people are in YouTube, LinkedIn, because of a reason that they share there, right? So instead of bringing them from their platform of choice to his webinar platform, he uses various restreaming softwares like Restream so that people are natively watching his webinars in their platform, so they don't have to take that extra friction of leaving their platform, coming to his platform to attend this webinar. At the end of the day, the goal is to just make them hear what you have to say. So that is what Eric does. And third, very interesting thing, which also confirms what Russell Brunson has been saying, is about avoiding hard pitch. So what he also says is, instead of putting all the pressure towards the end of a webinar to make all the sales that necessary, he says that to put in soft pitch throughout the webinar instead of one hard pitch. So maybe after 20-30 minutes, you're softly pitching your social media sites. Maybe after another 20-30 minutes, you're softly pitching your other lead magnet. In this way, there are lots of people who are not ready to buy you coaching, buy your product at the moment itself. And he says that there are about 95% who do not make immediate purchase. So with the hard sale, we're only doing is targeting the 5% of the people who are ready. But if you put out soft pitches throughout your webinar, instead of one hard pitch towards the end, what we are doing is basically through the soft pitch method, we're collecting either emails or putting them in social media so that they eventually become ready for what we have to sell. So instead of targeting towards the 5%, we are targeting towards the 95%. And that is what he says is the difference that webinars are going to be in 2025.